guys. Welcome back to another episode of Validated by Victoria. I'm so glad to have you here. I'm finally back in studio because I've been traveling. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind for me. So I finally closed on my new house. I have been just traveling, I feel like everywhere. So I did a couple episodes on the road. I'm just happy to be back in studio with like the better lighting and the better equipment and stuff. But I'm glad you guys have been tuning in. I think we've been hitting a lot of downloads, which I'm pretty happy about. I feel like I haven't been doing the best promo on Instagram. But if you guys don't know, like I work like 5 different jobs. So my life kind of gets a little hectic and I kind of lose myself and forget about myself. Along with all the stuff going on in Fort Myers, I've just been trying to live life a little bit. And then I've been working my full-time job in like commercial investments sector and getting ready for all these events coming up in the holidays and closing on a new house and then doing some brand deals like with Bovada Casino. If you haven't seen all that, I've been going live like 3 times a month, been doing a lot of posts with them. So if you haven't, definitely go check them out. Hit my link on Bovada. It helps me and it's fun games to play. I've been doing sports betting. I've just been living like kind of a crazy life. My phone goes off like freaking nonstop. I have 2 phones now. Like who am I? 2 phones is like too much to handle. There was like one day I was like on both of my phones, like texting, and my friend's like, what in the world is going on? But that's just how I need to double task. I need to multitask. I think honestly, I need to like quadruple task at this point. I need another version of myself to help me. And maybe one day I'll be like cool enough to get an assistant. So till that day, I'll be rolling with 2 phones and running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So that's just been my life lately. But I'm happy to be back in studio, happy to get like some really amazing guests still continuing to come on. I've been pushing hard to get some really cool people on. Last week we had Daniel Snow from Rap TV. If you haven't checked that out, I'll be promoting that on my Instagram and social media soon. But he is completely awesome. Such a genuine person. Graham Bunn, who does a lot of country music, singers. He interviews a lot of them. He does a lot of stuff. He was on The Bachelor. Amazing guy. We've had some really amazing guests so far, and I'm excited to continue and grow this podcast, get you to know stories that are valid from people's lives and just get to know them as a person. And today I have, and you guys know, I'm going to preface this because I did the interview with Sarah Emig. Hopefully I'm saying her Emig. Sarah Emig. I can't get it right. Sarah Emig. Amazing, beautiful, talented girl. I was just scrolling Instagram, like trying to find really cool people to interview. I saw her. Not only she's beautiful, she advocates for mental health. She DJs. She has a lot of substance in her life. But I don't watch TV. And if you guys know that, I've said that over and over again. I don't even watch The Bachelor. I've never watched a solo episode of The Bachelor, which is like one of the most watched reality shows. I just kind of rid myself of TV after my mom passed, and I've just been really focused on like growing and building myself and finding out what the next thing was. But I saw her, she was on FBoy Island. I'm like, what is FBoy Island? I've had a lot of F-boys in my life, but I've never had them all on an island. So I really want to know what that was about. So she gave us the recap of the show. I guess it's a new show, FBoy Island on HBO Max. She talks about her experience with that. And I was really, really happy to have her on. Amazing girl. So I'm really excited for you guys to listen to this interview with Sarah Emig. In studio today. Not only, I mean, you're stunning. You popped up on the screen and I was like, oh my gosh. And I've seen you on Instagram. Oh, thank you. You never know. Sometimes people want girls on Instagram. I see that a lot in Miami. I'm like, is this the same person? But you look actually better on the video. I've never truly met you in person, but I was just telling her earlier, guys, that Sarah, I was just kind of like doing, I guess, Instagram stalking, and guys, like, I think like, oh, you know, we're just like looking or shopping, but I'm also looking at hot chicks on Instagram because I like to know, like, see what they're doing. I don't know if that's the same for you. And I came across you and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want her on my podcast. Saw she was on FBoy Island doing some DJing stuff, which I think is pretty dope. So I wanted to have you on the pod. So thank you for tuning in. I know you're on LA time, so I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I haven't done an interview in a while, so I'm a little rusty, but I'm excited.
No. Look, so about this podcast, about this podcast, like, it's just honestly like, a conversation. Sometimes we drink, sometimes we don't. It's midday and I got out of a meeting, so I should have brought a bottle of tequila for myself. That's what I need right now. But it's just like a fun conversation, is get to know you and let my like people who listen to me, watch me, get to know some awesome people, especially in the social media realm, because a lot of people have a lot of negative connotations about that. And I know you do some social media stuff. You talk a lot about mental health, which I think is very important for people to listen and hear about. But tell the fans, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, my backstory, I guess my first entrance into all this was FBoy Island. They casted me literally out of nowhere. I'm from Chicago. They found me on Instagram, DM'd me. We went back and forth and did a couple of interviews. And then, I went on that show. And if you don't know anything about it, basically it is a show on the pretense of fuck boys versus nice. Can I swear on here?
Yeah, you can go for it. Go for it. We do it all the time.
Well, we call them F boys on the show, but it's basically fuck boys versus nice guys. And it's 3 girls against 27 guys. So it was absolutely insane. I think the idea of it was for it to be a bachelorette style type of show, but where the girls were empowered more than the guys. At the end, that wasn't necessarily the case, but throughout the season, basically we eliminate guys, and at the end there's a chance to win $100,000. And I was the one that got screwed over at the end with an F-boy because I chose an F-boy. So it didn't end up so well on the show, but afterwards it did open up a lot of doors for me, and it made me, I don't know, it was a learning experience, and it's something that a lot of people don't get to experience in their lifetime. So I'm someone who likes to take risks. I had a great time, and and now I moved out to LA, and I'm having a great time over here.
So what are you doing now since the show? And I definitely want to get into the show, but kind of want a current update on your life. I see, like, I saw the DJing. I see a lot of modeling pictures. I love it. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My Instagram needs a lot of work right now because I've been taking a break. But yeah, my hair is red now. I used to be blonde.
I love it. It's been a whole journey. I've seen that on TikTok. A lot of people are going like red or like that. I don't know, that auburn color. That's like the thing, but it looks amazing on you. I think I would just look crazy, but it looks amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I swear to God, I think I went red before other people started doing it, and then people started doing it, and I'm like, well, now I can't post about it because now it just seems like I'm hopping on a trend.
Stop. You can post about it.
Yeah. I probably will. I'm actually changing it back on Wednesday. But,
okay. Then never mind. You can't post now. I got to keep the post up to date.
Yeah. Got to keep it relevant, right? But yeah, anyways, now I'm working on a DJ career, I guess. It's so tough out, trying to figure out what you want to do in life. Like, especially coming to LA, I had like such a solid plan of what I thought I wanted to do. Like I wanted to start a podcast, get into YouTube more, and like be on social media. But now I feel like if you're on social media without much of a purpose and you're just there to be hot, or like, there's so many hot girls on Instagram, and I feel like I have a lot more to provide to the world. And I think, DJing is always something that I've been interested in. I am a big fan of festivals. Like, I don't know. I'm into Headbanger music. I don't know if you're a big festival goer or not.
I'm not, because I'm from North Carolina, so I love a good country music. But I do have a lot of DJ friends, and so I know how hard they work. But I love girl DJs. So anytime I can listen to a girl DJ, I can. But I'm country at heart. But I don't know what Headbanger music is. What is that?
Yeah. Well, maybe you can teach me something about country music, because that's something I still haven't.
Good two-step class over here. I think that's what I'll teach. Well, what is Headbanger? I'm so curious.
Well, back in college, my friend introduced me to it. My first experience ever with festivals was the most hardcore thing that you can think of. It was a Bass Nectar concert. Have you heard of Bass Nectar?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, so she took me to my first concert ever. It was like a 3-day Bass Nectar festival, and my first experience into it was basically getting thrown into all these like crazy people that like made weird facial expressions and were just like headbanging. And that really threw me for a loop, but that was my first entrance into like the festival scene. And as I started to grow and like get to know more artists, and I developed more of like a love for it basically. And like, there's nothing that beats the feeling of like being at a live show with people that you care about and like just vibing to the music basically, which sounds so like hippie, but I don't know. I developed a real love for it. So that's something that I've always been interested in. And now I have the capability to kind of like, you know, move that direction in my career. So yeah, it's been great. I've been working on a bunch of sets. I played my first show in Chicago a few weeks ago. And so now that I've ripped the Band-Aid off, I'm ready to go. Let's do it now.
Oh, you played your first show back in your hometown? Chicago? Is Chicago your hometown? That's so awesome. Yeah. And now what's next? Do you have anything else lined up or?
Not at the moment. I think that was me kind of testing the waters to see if it was really something I wanted to do. But I think what appeals to me about DJing is that it is a very male dominated space. And I think, you know, like I was saying earlier, I want to provide something more. I want to be like an inspiration to girls, because I feel like a lot of people who watch dating shows or girls who watch dating shows, they think that dating a guy is like the best thing that you can do in life, or like they get so consumed by, you know, our culture today. It's like, oh, you need a guy to survive, or like not to survive, but you need to be in a relationship to be happy. And I think that by showing girls that there's other cool things that you can do, like DJing, and, you know, show your path in a male dominated space, I think that would be a really valuable lesson that I can like put out there. So I'm just, doing my best.
I love that.
I have no events coming up in the near future, but I think I'm really just going to start developing like my style, because there's so many different types of music out there. So.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I love that you say that. Like, actually, my best friend and I had a heart to heart about it. And a lot of people are like, why do you hustle so hard? And that's why I like bringing on like not only beautiful like ladies or beautiful people who they have like something more to offer in life. Cause you know, they see, oh, there's just another Instagram model. Like, come on. No, there's like so much more substance. And that's what, you know, kind of attracted me, I guess you could say, to you. And that's what my friend and I were talking about. You see this even today, you know, there is a lot of female empowerment, but there's still that push where it's like, oh, you need to be in a relationship to get married, have kids, to be happy. And I mean, I grew up in the South, so that's like such a stigma. And people look at me and they're like, are you okay? Cause I'm almost 30 and I'm still single, but I'm the happiest I've ever been. And I've been, really pushing my business and pushing myself to do other things and bring happiness in my life. And that's what life's all about. You got to find something that gives you purpose and makes you happy. But yeah, like there's a lot of females, and I preach this. Don't rely too heavily on a man, because that man can leave you and then you're left with nothing. And I've seen friend after friend get engaged. They give up, the guy makes them give up everything, and then they're left with nothing and they have to start all over. And that's something I'm like, everyone needs to have their own thing. And you know, some people are happy being a housewife, but that scares me. That scares me a little bit. I'd rather have my own thing going, and just in case, no matter what happens, you always have yourself. So I'm glad you share that message. You know, have your own thing, have substance, have something going on in your life. I completely agree with all that. But so we're going to backtrack now. So we got DJing. You have a lot of substance in your life. What? So FBoy Island. I see these like reality people slide in my DMs all the time. I'm like, what? And I can't do all that. But I'm always like in awe of people who like go on the dating shows. Like, I don't know. I'm just scared my dad would watch and judge. But like, how did that happen? So like I'm assuming you said they slid in your DMs and you just applied and you got in. Was it in an exotic location? Okay. So I'm just going to preface this too. I don't watch TV. Like, I'm the weirdo who like has no TV, no subscription. I do have Netflix just for when friends come over. But I just don't watch TV because I just pride myself on being busy. But I've heard of this show. Is it on at least an exotic location? Get to go somewhere fun?
Yeah, it was in the Cayman Islands.
Okay.
And they slid in my DMs, and it was such a whirlwind experience for me, because I went through the interview process, and then they're like, okay, it's between you and another girl at the very end. and they ended up not booking my flight until like literally the day before. So it was crazy. It was like the dead of winter in Chicago, so I had no summer clothes whatsoever. So I was like, am I in or not? Like, I need to get some things figured out. I need to like figure out, like, that was also the time when my lease was ending. So I had to basically figure it all out within like a week if I was going to go or
That's
not.
Too much for me. I'm type A. I need a planned out. You give me a month at least.
Right. But yeah, and then we got on and we went to the Cayman Islands, and it was also during COVID times too. So we had to do like a 14-day quarantine. That was stressful. And then, Nikki Glazer is the host, and she's someone that I've always like watched. I don't know if you've seen any of her specials, but I think she's amazing. And we got to meet her and then all the guys, and it was quite the experience. I definitely learned a lot about, like, I've obviously never been on a show before, so I learned a lot about the whole experience, and like it was interesting, like being behind the scenes for once, because I was also someone who also used to watch a lot of dating shows, and it's so weird because I don't really watch them anymore, but I should. But now that I've been on one, I don't really have an interest for some reason. But
I mean, it's because I've had some friends on dating shows, some friends who've been on The Bachelor come on here, and I get the same story about how like producers shape things and TV can mold things, and you kind of take that risk and take that chance. And now, like, knowing their behind the scenes stories, like, you get a whole different picture. And I bet it'd be interesting if you're like sitting there watching a bunch of those shows and you're like, that's a producer edit, like, stuff like that. So I hear that all the time. They're like, well, that was, the producers kind of egging it on. Is that something that you dealt with? Like, you're kind of like, oh, I got egged on to say something or do something?
Well, the thing about it was they never really, in my situation at least, I don't know if it's different for other shows, they never really told us what to say, but we were put in situations where, like, you're not allowed to talk to this person, or basically all of our interactions with people who were actually on the show had to be on camera. And we had two separate producer teams, like one for the guys and one for the girls, and they weren't really allowed to interact. So meanwhile, while the guys are over, like, having the time of their lives, like broing out over at FBoy or the FBoy, I forget why I'm blanking on the name, but they had a section where all the FBoys were like partying and having fun together. And meanwhile, the girls are like over here in the corner, like, we're trying to dissect like what the guys might do or say in the next interaction. And
I feel like it's typical like girl guy thing. Like there's these memes I see where it's just like what girls think you're doing versus like what the guys are actually like playing video games or broing out. And we're over here like having, I had this last night, I'll just say, there's this guy like, and I'm like over here like having like dissecting like his stories and stuff. And while he was like, oh, I was just playing video games with my friend. I'm like, are you serious? So I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. So there was that dynamic going on, and then just the whole. I think what was the most, or the area that the producers had the most control over things, you could say, is like, it was a first season show, so we really had no idea what to expect or what was going on. Like, we had no idea how the money was going to work at the end. So all we could really do is like, take it moment by moment and like basically just follow our hearts. And I know, like, CJ, she's one of my really good friends from the show. She knew how to play the game pretty much from the beginning, where she knew it wouldn't be good to, give an F-boy a chance. And she knew to give the nice guys more of a chance to, make their mark at the end. And me, I more so just followed it based off of my connection with people, because it's really subjective how you define yourself as like an F-boy versus nice guy. I still ended up choosing wrong, you could say, at the end. But I think that was the biggest surprise for me, is because like the girls throughout the season had the say in like who stayed and who went. So at the end, I thought we would also have a say in like the money aspect of things. So if you haven't watched it, basically at the end, I had a choice between a nice guy and an F-boy. And I ended up going with, I didn't see a relationship with either of them after the show. So I was like, you know what? I'm on TV. I'm not here to play it safe. I'm going to take a risk. because I felt like I'd been playing it safe the entire season. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to choose the guy that will make the biggest splash for me. And again, I thought the girls would have been safe because of, you know, how the season was going, and it was a women empowered show. But how it turned out was if you chose a nice guy, you automatically split $100,000 with you and your guy. And if you chose an F-boy, he gets to decide whether he keeps the money or splits it with you.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I just saw red, and I was like, oh my God, I have made the worst decision ever.
And he kept the money. I told him,
yeah, basically he chose the money, which I probably would have done the same in that situation. Not blaming him. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah.
But the twist of the show is instead of giving that $100K to the fuckboy, they end up giving it to a charity of my choice, which I thought was a really great way to do it.
Spin
because
it around.
at the end, they don't want the F-boys to win, which I thought was really great. But at the end, I was like, you really screwed us, because, you know, it was a lose-lose situation. None of us walked away with money, really. So
it was
just a little bit of an embarrassing moment, but we got over it.
What did he say? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched the show, so I'm like, wow, you're giving me like the spark notes. So like, what happened? They're like, haha, here's your money, psych, it's for charity.
Yeah, well,
he probably was like,
I think this was another thing that I think, you know, again, producers weren't like telling us what to say, but they also weren't telling us anything. So I think we both expected a different outcome by making the choices that we did. So we were both in shock. And I think, you know, he was obviously upset that he didn't get to walk away with any money. And I was too, but at least it was going towards a good cause. And I ended up donating all that money to a charity called Thorn, which is, if you don't know, it's Ashton Kutcher's charity, and it helps prevent against, or not prevent against, but it helps the whole issue of child trafficking. So they have a software in place to help, you know, kids who are there are kids, unfortunately, who are getting sold on like the black market and things like that. So I'm really proud that I was able to, you know, at least take those earnings from the show and put them towards a good cause. So, yeah. I
mean, now you're making an impact, helping children and effing that F-boy, really. So what happened? I kind of did a quick little search, and was it his name Garrett? I don't really know. I see a lot of news about you and a guy named Garrett. Yeah, I love not looking people up because I'd just rather hear the story from the horse's mouth than Google.
Yes.
So who was this Garrett guy? Is that the F-boy or no? Or
he was the F-boy.
Oh, okay. Yep. Did y'all end up dating because it kept saying that? Or was that just Google just making something up?
Well, again, not everything you see on reality TV is completely real. You're not getting the whole story. There are certain things that I can't say.
Oh, okay. All right. You don't have to say it, but I just saw the Garrett guy.
Basically, we did end up hanging out after the show. So
okay. Are y'all friends, or is anything to say about that? Good terms now, or?
Yeah, we're on good terms. We're friends, but don't really like interact in each other's lives anymore. But I think, you know, it's something to say about these shows in general, where it's like, even if you're portrayed as a villain on the show, the villain probably isn't as bad in real life as you think they are. And then same with me. Like, I'm not as much of a nice girl, you could say, or like as much of a sweetheart as they showed me to be.
I mean, who really is a full sweetheart? I'm sorry. I've met some of these sweethearts and I'm like, it's funny when you meet some of these influencers and celebrities in person. Some people that you would think are, oh, they're the meanest person, have been like the nicest people, especially when I went to New York Fashion Week. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Then you kind of know, like, it's funny. And especially living here in Miami, you live in LA, you get to like kind of get to know the ins and outs, and people are like, oh my God, I love that person. It's like America's sweetheart. I'm like, that is the meanest girl I've ever come across. But you know what? I'm going to keep my mouth shut. But all right. It's just funny how people portray themselves. But I don't think anyone's 100% an angel.
Yeah.
If they are, then they don't belong here on earth. But like, Lord have mercy. Yeah. Like, I don't believe that. But I mean, what happened to the nice guy? Like, what is his name?
His name's Josh. I actually saw him when I was in Chicago. He came to my DJ set, so we had a nice little reunion.
So he is a nice guy. He came to your DJ set, even though you rejected him
he
on
is nice.
national TV. You're like, not you, F boy. He effed me over. But then the whole production effed everybody over and sent it. And actually, in whole was good. Sent it to charity. This poor guy over here is left standing like crap.
Yeah.
But he comes to your DJ set, so that's the sweetest guy. So he's actually a really nice guy. Nice.
He is, and that was something that if I did have one regret on the show, I obviously don't regret anything because of the way it turned out. It was all for the better, but I do wish that I had not given him more of a chance. But like I do feel like I caught him by surprise at the end because Josh is a really solid guy. Like he was so trustworthy, so kind, so nice, and like I really wish that I wish the best for him, and I still. We're still friends on Instagram to this day. And I still get comments about like, I wish you and Josh would get back together or like.
Have you ever thought about getting with Josh or does he have a girlfriend or what's up with Josh?
I don't know Josh's situation. He also lives in Chicago and I live in LA. So I don't really picture myself doing like a long distance kind of thing. And I definitely don't see myself going back to Chicago because that's the whole reason why I left. It's cold as fuck.
I can't do cold. I lived in Manhattan for a little bit and it hit the winter time and I'm like, this was the worst. And my dog hated it. I can't do the cold. That's why I live down here in South Florida. So it's warm all year round. LA, the same thing. I'm just an East Coast girl at heart. But like, what have you been dating in LA? Like, how's that? Are you just more been focused on yourself or?
Dude, dating in LA is so bad.
I was about to say. I was about to say. People are like, oh my gosh, I want to date in LA. And I'm like, girl or guy, like me and my friends have tried LA. And I'm like, it's almost equivalent as Miami, but a little bit worse. I don't know what.
I'm sure. I don't even know about the dating scene in Miami. Is it bad? Also,
it's a lot of Peter Pan. I mean, I feel like in all the major cities, there's a lot. It's the Peter Pan syndrome that goes around, and it's just like sugar daddy madness. And I know Miami is like sugar daddy, like crazy madness, like nonstop. Like it's almost too much. And I'm a very like independent girl, so like I don't want any of that. But dating down here is crazy. I mean, but I've been focused on myself, but I can only imagine LA is definitely a different scene. And I shouldn't be saying this, but like my friend dated a guy from LA and he like came went on a date. And he came over here and he was like, all right, playing this whole date out. And he brought a suitcase. I can't tell the friend who this is about because he's going to know, but he brought a suitcase and I'm just like, what is up with these LA men? And he brought a suitcase on a date and he took his suitcase to live. And I'm like, this is you have the most wild date. I can't do LA. But
what was in the suitcase?
I mean, he just thought he was going to come stay over, but like,
okay.
I can't reveal the whole details because no one give it away who it was. But he just thought he was gonna like I guess stay over or I don't know. It was just very presumptuous. That's what I get out of LA. But I can only imagine. I do love LA, and I think it's a good place to like find yourself, and especially with music. A lot of people on the West Coast, a lot of my musician friends are either in Nashville or in LA, and I feel like LA and West Coast is a good hub to DJ. Also Miami too. I'm not gonna lie. There's some good DJs. Have you ever thought about coming over to Miami or you're just an LA girl?
I have. I've thought about Miami. I think I'm going to give LA at least another year.
Yeah.
I just signed a lease for a new place, so I'm happy about that.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's good and bad parts about LA, and I think you're going to find good and bad people everywhere you go. And especially in big cities, like you were saying, it does attract like, kind of the worst and the best people. So you have to have like a really good, like radar of, and like intuition on who has good intentions and who doesn't. As far as like going back to what you're saying, as far as like dating out here, I recently had this, revelation with a friend. The reason why I think a lot of guys out here act like they don't care or they act like F-boys, I guess, is because they wanted to be treated like girls. Like I've never come across this type of guy before, but like you'll have an interaction with a guy, you think it goes really well. And then they are the ones that hit you up like the next week asking to hang out. And then you're like, yeah, sure, let's hang out. And then like the day you'll talk about it like multiple times throughout that week, and then the day finally comes around, and then they won't say anything. And I'm not the type of girl to be like, hey, are we still on for today?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to do that. Like, if you want to make plans, like, follow through with them. And I don't know. I've never interacted with such like flaky men in my life, but I think it's because they want to be treated like girls.
What do you mean want to be treated like girls?
Like they want to be the ones to be pursued. There's a lot of ego going on.
Yeah. See, I'm old school. I'm like, pursue me, please. Like, I grew up in the South, but like, I'm very like traditional where I'm like, I want the man to pursue me. I'm not going to literally blow up your phone and text you every day. I can't do that. Like, I want the man to pursue me. And I do think there has been, especially in LA and like the big city hubs, like a lot of guys are just used to girls, like just flocking over them, and I'm like, no. They think I should be like calling them, FaceTiming them every day. I'm like, no, I'm busy. Like I'm working on my stuff too. But I hate the flaking. I had an episode about the flakiness. I don't know what it is. Like the day of the date, like this ghost, like crickets. Like what is it? You want me to call you like 3 times to confirm? Like, this is not opentable.com. This is a date. So like, chill. Yeah, that's interesting. So I like now the analogy where they want you to treat them like a girl. Very weird. I don't like
that. I just had that light bulb moment. I was like, I get it. I don't think they're all like necessarily like assholes, but I'm like you, where I'm like traditional. I like the guy to pursue me. So if the guy is not putting the effort there, I just don't really see it happening. And also a lot of the guys out here are boring too. Like, you'll meet the most successful people or the most successful guys, and they just have no personality, or they can't hold a conversation. So that's the situation I'm at. I've tried dating a couple guys the first couple months I came here. And the past 6 months, it's just been like, nope, don't talk to me. I'm in my growth phase. I'm going to work on myself.
Well, how about friends? You've met like good friends, or you had good friends out there? Because I think that was what's beneficial. Because even in Miami, you get the fakeness. And people are like, oh, it's all LA fake. No, it's always the big city, hub cities. You get the fake. And I lucked out getting like a good friend group as soon as I moved here, like the most genuine friend group ever. So, and then that's helped me transition better. How about like, how's the friend life out there? Friend life.
It's good. Like it's like, I don't know. It's one of those places where I feel like I have a lot of like friends, but not a lot of like super close friends that I can rely on. Like if I went to the hospital, if I need to get picked up from the airport, I have like probably 2 or 3 close friends here. And then I still have my best friend who lives in Chicago. I have a really strong crew in Chicago still, who I'm super grateful for. But as far as like friends out here, I think, I've only been here a year, actually, like exactly this month. So I think it takes time to like find those people who are going to stick by you. And I'm still figuring out who those people are. But as far as networking, it's really great. Like I can literally call up any person on my phone if you need like, to book an event, or if you need to like fly to Miami, stay at a place in Miami. If I feel like if I need to go anywhere, do anything, I have connections for that. But as far as real actual friendships, that's something I've been trying to work on more recently.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Everyone places, like we said earlier, the emphasis on finding like the love of your life, but I think it's honestly more important to find good friends that will stick by you, and genuine friends. And I mean, I probably have like 4 genuine friends in my entire life, but I know I have 1 or 2 here in Florida, and 1 in North Carolina, and 1 in Hawaii, living her best life. But I know if I call them up, if I was like dying, they would be there. And that's all you need. You don't have to have like 25,000 like good friends. And but I think that's if anyone's tried, like, you're new, and this has been a year here in Florida, so I think it's very important. Like, who cares about the dating apps? Finding friends is like what matters the most. But all right, what's next before we like close this up and I'll let you go and get back to your rainy LA day? We were talking about that earlier.
Nothing much. I'm working on move. I know you said you're moving as well. I'm moving in like a week and a half. So that's all that's consuming my brain right now, but I'm super excited for this new place. I feel like I've been going through a lot of growth in the past couple of months. Mental health is something that I'm passionate about, and I've really been trying to work on myself before I put out anything, for other people. And I feel like I'm finally at a place where I can comfortably do that. And like, I want to get away from the dating show scene a little bit and just move more towards a healthier approach to like social media in general, because my social media usage has been like out the window lately. So just having more of like a solidified plan and, getting back to people who actually care about me, like family values. I'm excited for like the holidays coming up too. So
yeah, me too. I'm excited for the holidays, and it's good reset and kind of figure out being with your family always helps me reset. I don't know about you, but I'm really happy to have you on, and I'm glad you're passionate about mental health, and everyone needs to realize like, it doesn't matter if you're on a show, like you're a real person and you have real things going on in your life. So I know a lot of my friends who've been on shows been stigmatized. I get stigmatized on social media and modeling and God knows what, but it's also a friendly reminder to those people who are listening. Like, you see this glamorous stuff on TV or crazy stuff on TV or even social media, but we're also real people and we deal with real mental health struggles. So I feel like it's important for a lot of people to realize you don't glamorize everybody's life. Everyone's going through something, and I'm glad you advocate for mental health, because a lot of people kind of overlook that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'm super happy to have you on. Thank you for taking your time out of your day, telling us a little bit about you. And I followed you on Instagram, so I'll continue to watch your journey and listen to some Headbanger jams coming up soon. Hopefully you come to Miami, and I'll definitely come see you or hang out, get coffee, or listen to, a set if you have something going on here.
Oh my God, I would love that. Yes. Thank you for having me on. I had a great time.
Oh, I appreciate it. You have an amazing LA day.
You too. Back in Miami. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, girl. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this interview. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow, whatever you got to do to help the traction keep up with this podcast, because we've been getting quite a few downloads, and I'm really happy you guys have been enjoying it. I get messages on Instagram saying that you really love the latest podcast or podcasts that are coming up. You've been giving me advice on who to interview next. So guys, keep it coming. I really want to grow this thing. It's kind of been a fun hobby for me right now. So I'm really excited you guys have tuned in, have listened to Sarah Emig's interview. Again, like, subscribe, comment, do what you got to do to make this podcast on top. So let's keep growing it. And I appreciate you guys. And we're going to continue to have some more people throughout the holidays. If you had any suggestions, any tips on who I should interview next, what I should talk about in my next show, just hit me up on Instagram at Victoria, VESCE. Until then, I'll catch y'all next time. Thanks for listening to Validated by Victoria.